Pisces, thank you for joining me today and welcome to this reading for the first 2 weeks of May. I hope you guys are doing well. This is a special reading for you for the first 2 week period in May. And I want to tell you guys that I have a charity that I am supporting through my Redbubble shop. I'm doing a 33% from proceeds to go towards narcissistic abuse and domestic violence charities. I'm also partnered up with some pretty cool artists, so go check out my shop there for those collabs and my work as well. But yeah, let's talk about your astrology first. It's not really a lot. There's really a couple main things to focus on. Mercury is going to go direct in your second house of communication. That's going to give you in your second house of money and beauty and personal finances, etc. This is going to be a nice time to push forward towards your goals, financial goals, etc. But this is especially true if you're a Pisces rising. If you have a sun, moon, Mars in Pisces, that can be relevant as well, but definitely for Pisces rising people, this will be the most relevant, or maybe even like a high placing Gemini, like 27, 28 degrees Gemini rising can still have that placement, right? Anyway, so this will give you an opportunity to rehash financial matters that have otherwise been undealt with in your life, and you can quickly apply that to creating something tangible as a direct correlation to that which you agree upon. So really a good time for contract negotiations, work negotiations, etc. And then we have the full moon in Scorpio. That's happening in your 9th house of philosophy, long distance travel, ideas, university. If you're in university right now, you should be writing your paper. You're going to, especially if you've done the research, you're going to communicate concepts really well to your professors. This happens on May 10th in British Columbia and Hawaii. But if you move east and on that time, it's going to be on the 11th because it happens late at night, the full moon. So it's on the 10th and the 11th, and it's allowing you to really take hold of bigger ideas, concepts. You've been working up to this point for about 6 months since the new moon in Scorpio, and so now you're applying that expertise or knowledge and making it shine, or cutting out whatever wasn't working to your benefit. You might be quitting school. You might be quitting classes, changing classes. All those big changes can happen with the full moon on the 10th. We'll talk more about that when I publish the individual video. Here is your next message. We have the Two of Cups. So we start off the month with a very positive note. Two of Cups here is ruled by Pisces and Mars, but it's actually Venus and Cancer in most systems. So you're falling in love, or you have fallen in love. I feel as though that the way the tulips are hiding one of the cups, maybe one of the loves is secret. So maybe you feel as though maybe you're hiding your love secretly towards someone, or maybe they're not showing their true feelings or emotions quite yet. But you're okay with that. You like the vibe, you like the energy around you, and you're open to it. So you're welcoming to whatever comes up. I think that you'll be making a decision about a relationship from the past. You could be welcoming a new relationship in, or kind of unpacking it and moving on from it. Here on the bottom, again, the Two of Hearts. How can I pass that up? So there's this really strong love relationship that you are feeling, and it's becoming quite confirmed within the dynamics. So both parties, both people are outright agreeing about their feelings and their intentions towards each other. The next card is the Fool. And so there is a definitive decision that you're making about taking a course of action or a direction. So there's going to be no room for fools, and Pisces really likes that. You like the idea that things are going to be quite clear, quite concrete. Even though you don't like making the decision, once it's there, it's quite comforting that you know where to put your trust. So I feel as though many of your relationships are going to be worked out, and there's going to be a resolution reached. So you guys are going to work things out with your partners. or potentially start a new relationship, and that's going to be quite strong. There's going to be some kind of offer made, although there's going to be some question about whether or not it's exactly what you want. You may be hesitant, or it may take you time to really absorb or accept the offer, to accept or to believe that it's something that you want. So at first look or at first presentation, you may be like, I don't want this, I'm not interested. But then later on you come to realize that it's something that you want. And then we have the Hanged Man. So maybe for some of you, you're actually accepting a relationship back into your life, and in a certain way this is prolonging a situation that you may actually be sort of done with. You may be finishing up that relationship. So I feel that there's two strains for Pisces here. There's this really robust love, two of hearts or two of cups, the Last Judgment, a final decision on the past, commitment towards the future, possibly and most likely together, a new beginning, and ironing out the new information that's coming through. But then there's the Hanged Man. So for some of you, this means that there's a persistence of a problem that you have not addressed fully yet in the circumstances that you're dealing with. So maybe you've kind of refused to terminate something in a relationship. Maybe you've refused to push someone out of your life, and now you're going to be dealing with the consequences. Here is two more cards. So we have the four of bells, which is the Four of Discs, and the Queen of Leaves. Okay, so both of these cards are kind of discernment and being very, very picky. Maybe there is a job. I feel as though for many of you this represents a job, and a woman who is not actually giving you the appropriate recognition, isn't giving you proper treatment. She keeps things very clinical and very cold, like in a hospital, and you're in an environment where you feel that you have to stay within the circumstances that you have committed to, and you don't necessarily want to change quite yet, but you already see that there is this kind of environmental pollution there, this lack of sympathy and lack of real connection or resonance between people. So with this lack of resonance, with this lack of with a lack of resonance and with a lack of true understanding between people and their needs, there's somebody who's setting the pace that's really cold and calculating. And I think that you're starting to feel as though you have to maintain pace with that individual, and that individual is in a certain way, kind of controlling everyone in order to avoid to have control over their own resources. So I think that there's two situations here, really. For many of you, there's going to be a growing and abundant love relationship. And I think that secondarily, you're continuing a relationship in a situation that is cold and is unlike yourself. It's making you feel quite uncomfortable. Here is the next message. We have the Knight of Wands. So this is the sign that somebody is going to come in. I feel like this person is going to come in and shake up this environment. This could be somebody coming in very quickly or leaving really fast, but it could be a Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries. This could be a person who is kind of throwing in new ideas and perspectives to change the dynamic of what you've been dealing with. This could be somebody who's sent by the King of Swords, who is a Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. And I think there's this people hashing out ideas and plans around you. I don't think that you're a part of those hashing out of ideas. I think that those ideas are being decided for you and around you, and they are in a certain way. Wow, the Knight of Bells. There's something really big going on here with regard to work and with regard to prospects and ideas. I feel as though there's a lot of people who want to take hold of a situation and make some plans and move forward in those directions, right? And I think that this is, if you're a female watching this, it almost feels like it's an environment that won't give you room to have control. So it's a choice between a masculine dominated environment, and if you're a man too, you're walking in with the wolves. I'm not saying they're the wolves, but they have very strong masculine qualities in this section here. So it's either you're dealing with like this calculating person, this cold person who isn't necessarily like conscious and sympathetic, but they get the job done. They control people around them, but you can't even ask a question or it's done. It's kind of like a drill sergeant, a kind of a cyborg energy. Or we have here a very strong masculine energy where you can't actually get your word in edgewise, whether you're a man or a woman. But particularly for women, I would be very cautious of this energy. It's like, you know, them making a decision for you in a certain way. So you could be dealing with a bunch of people in a workplace situation or in a private situation, and there's all these men and they're deliberating your plight, you know, and you're like, hey, I'm here. I have an opinion too. So it feels as though, like, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a funny energy. Here at the center, woohoo, Pisces. Okay, good. We have the sun. So now we have some light and bright right in the center. So there is this really strong strain of love energy here as well. So I do feel as though Pisces, you're actually getting the last reading I'm doing for the first 2 weeks of May, and probably the most loving energy. So May isn't necessarily this year. By the way, May is my favorite year, so I wish you all full love and joy and hummingbirds and butterflies and all that stuff. But there is this grand trine energy, which would make it seem as though it's going to be very gentle and nice and happy, but I think it's hard work grand trine, which is like Saturn and Uranus and the North Node. It's like this deep cathartic, you know, transformation, a push for you to, with positive reinforcement, not negative reinforcement, to make those changes and pushing you along, you know. So you're going to get put into situations which are challenging, which are in some way evocative of the things that you need to change around you, but they're going to push you further and further down the path until you get it, until you get the message. The outcome is the sun. In the center is the sun, and we have the Empress. So I don't know if you're running home to mom, you know, like, get me out of here, mom, this is stressing me out, or possibly you're kind of really enjoying the feminine aspects of your personality. If this is a man, then maybe you're reaching out to your wife, and there is that sense of companionship there for you in May, which I actually haven't seen in any of the spreads. There's this real, you know, being pushed together with someone you love and having the emotional experience with them. Here is the next message. We have the Ace of Coins. I like this card in general and in this deck, but the Ace of Coins is saying that you kind of need to wait it out. I would not say that you commit to this situation right off the bat. I would say hold off a minute. If it feels pressing to make a decision, just enjoy your love life for like a week or so, and then towards the latter part of May, the last week, then you can maybe have something new come through, a new option. Because I feel as though you're on the brink of something new here, but yet things are still somewhat static, and it's almost kind of like having an annoying boss and not being able to say anything and having to put up with it. The next message, the Ace of Coins, is the Knight of Hearts energy, which is a Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, right? So there's someone who is going to be making you a financial offer, but their motivation is going to be from the heart. So there's somebody who's really fond of you, someone who really doesn't necessarily mean that they want something from you, like a relationship. This is someone who either sees in you a quality that they appreciate, something that they love about people. Maybe you remind them of a sibling. Maybe you remind them of an attribute that they don't see in the world very much. But that motivates them to give you some kind of offer. And it's going to be a tangible physical offer. And that's going to motivate you to change up things. And it's going to come from a place of confidence and strength and positivity. So that's much better than moving from a place of oppression, suppression, fear, anxiety, worry. So I think that it's the opportune time for you to make a certain change, and that change, and that change is going to be, well needed, but it's also going to be really well timed. Okay, so here is the next message. We have the 9 of Swords. Okay, so I think that you're going to have a really hard time accepting that you're going to go in this direction. The 9 of Swords is the regret that you're feeling towards other people, maybe possibly this group of people to whom you feel a commitment, to whom you feel like you've put your offer through, to whom you've said your words, and to whom you've kind of said that you will follow through with them, in that direction. So you don't want to let people down, and I understand that's what's motivating you, and it's beautiful that you feel that. But I think that the greater sense about the reading is that there's something new opening up for you, and you must go forward and claim it for yourself. Here is the next message, the 5 of Leaves. And so I feel as though you've defeated yourself. Your aim was to always bring people in equally and fairly. You didn't want to say no to anyone. You wanted to keep the good vibes going all around. And now you have to kind of face that your priority, the priority of the self, taking care of the self, which is actually the most responsible thing you can do, is take care of yourself as an adult, right? Make sure that you're well taken care of so that you can take care of other people when it comes time. You can't help anybody when you're down. So decisions that are made for your betterment and for your improvement are actually going to be hard decisions to externalize towards others. So you're going to feel like you're letting them down. Here is the next message. We have the 9 of Wands. And so I think that that's going to cause you to separate yourself from the new situations a little. This may be a good card or decision that you are making, to have that separation so that you can observe what's going on, so that you can have a look on what's going on and how you actually feel about it. When you take a look at the entire situation, I think you'll recognize the positivity of what you are dealing with. You're going to recognize the uprightness of your circumstance, that you're simply starting a new beginning, and you're really hopeful about it. The next message is the Devil. Okay, well, that's a zinger on the outset. So for some of you, this is a Capricorn person coming through, but if it's not, then you want to make sure that you don't allow that separation to create anxieties in your mind and worries, because you can really get bogged down in those anxieties and worries and make decisions that are, less than beneficial for your well-being, so as to limit yourself, so as to, kind of pollute yourself and hold yourself back from the natural evolution that is happening around you. There's this natural progress that is, remember, the first 2 cards are like 2 of Cups, and the Last Judgment. Big decisions being made at the beginning of May, and the rest of the month is you figuring it out, which is pretty Piscean. It's a pretty common way. And so the Devil was clarified as the 2 of Acorns, and with the 2 of Acorns, there's this, it's all about vision. You have such a good hand for this 2 weeks, Pisces, that you don't want to start destroying it or undermining it with some kind of, you don't want to undermine it or destroy it with some type of fear or fear-mongering from within yourself. So saying that things are not going to work out. I do see as though you're really stressed out. I do see as though there's a lot of things that are going on that are going to make you feel really uncomfortable or on edge, or kind of like shaken up by them. However, the main course of action and the energy around you is very positive, supportive, encouraging, and that's the path you want to stick to this month. You still want to kind of deal with this. There's something to be learned from all these people, but there's going to be competitive environment, and I'm not sure you want to put yourself in the middle of that, because I think with three ambitious people, three people who are pushing their right in different elements, earth, fire, and air, it's going to become, a cyclone of stuff. And then we have the 9 of Swords and the 5 of Leaves. And so that together is like feeling of self-defeat. Let's clarify that a little bit. Okay, so you do get the Sun. So once it passes, you're come to realize your kind of misunderstanding of the situation and how your suffering was an emotional response, and yet the impact, there's not going to leave too many scars. You're going to be happy at the end. Whenever you have the Sun in the middle of a spread, or here, it's just overall it's a good energy. I just think that you have to feel and deal with peripherally, maybe some of the other signs aren't doing as good as you are, and so because you're such a sympathetic sign, you may be taking that on. And so make sure that in the workplace environment, in school, you're not bringing that in too close, that you're controlling who's around you, who's around you and who's with you, but don't let it totally change your perspective. That segregation that you have to do, or that separation that you have to do in the first 2 weeks of May, don't let that become your mantra. Don't let that become your like modus operandi or anything. Just take a step back from fully committing to that course, and just use it as a tool rather than as a life strategy. Anyway, give me a thumbs up for this reading if you didn't mind, and please thank you for sharing and liking my videos. Check out my shop. I'll see you guys next for mid-May. Bye.